This is all public record anyways. I'm just gonna be transparent here on YouTube. Total buy-ins for 2022.
Bet it on me, let it ride. Broke white boy, put it all on the line. Lucky me, lit the Sin City on fire. Money on the floor, watch it double 10 times. Bet it on me, let it ride.
This is Joe Ingram, and you're watching another high-quality vlog from my man JohnnieVibes. We're out here in the park. I'm about to get ready to watch it right now. I'm gonna sit on this bench right over here. I'm gonna check it out.
Bet it on me, let it ride.
All right, welcome back to my poker vlog. We are near Sacramento, California at a casino I've never been to before, Thunder Valley. A lot of content creators are out here for a meetup game. It's gonna be a fun time. Lots of drinks are gonna be flowing. Let's hop into the action. All right, let's cover the cash game hands that really made this session noteworthy. We were playing with 3 blinds and occasionally a 4th blind. So with that formula, there was some action. The floor decided to make this a 2,000 max buy-in, so that's what I'm going to be buying in for. In this first hand, there's a straddle for $10. Early position raises to 40. There's 3 callers in front of me, and I look down at 10-9 of hearts. Even though this is a great spot to squeeze with all that dead money out there, the opener isn't as deep as the rest of us, so I don't want to reopen the action and have to fold such a pretty hand. The hand plays pretty well multi-way as well. And like I said, this is a meetup, so 10-9 suited is never going into the muck in a single raise pot. So I make the call from the big blind, the straddle calls, and the double straddle also calls. 7 ways to a flop, 10, 8, 7, 2 spades and a diamond. Checks to the original raiser, and she puts out a continuation bet of $125. Button calls, small blind calls, and now the action's on us. Given that the original raiser is betting into all of these people, it's very well likely that she has us beat. But with all that dead money out there, I decided since I want to see all 5 cards anyways, let's just put in a raise now. Maybe I can get a better hand to fold. Maybe I actually have the best hand. And if not, maybe I can just get there. I make it $500.
What was that?
You talked me into a bajillion.
Always somebody got to get out of pocket. Usually somebody with a video camera.
You're not
We have 9s. What else do you have?
I believe that she actually folded queens, but not positive. Regardless, everyone folded, which is definitely a great result. I thought there was a decent chance that I had the first. We decided to add the stand-up game, which, if you aren't familiar, always creates more action. Every player is required to stand up until they win a hand. And if you're the last person standing, you have to pay everyone a preset amount. In this case, it was $25. And since you'd have to pay 8 other players, it's a $200 loss if you're the last person standing. I decide to be aggressive on the very first hand. I make it $50 with deuce 4 of spades in middle position. Cutoff re-raises me to $200. Folds back to me. First hand of the stand-up game, and I'm getting 3-bet by a late position player. I'm not buying it. So I put in another raise to $500. If you're counting, that is a 4-bet. Really hoping this gets the job done, but unfortunately, he now 5-bets me to $1,400. All right, well, I've already punted off $500 trying to save $200, so time to cut my losses. I fold and he rolls over ace jack of hearts, almost as if he could see my cards. The stand-up game is super interesting, especially when it gets down to 2 players. There's so much incentive to not be the last person standing. So when it came down to just 2 people, I knew I'd have to be getting in there. Open for 20, all in for a couple thousand.
I'm not like great with math, but I think this is a lot more percentages.
That's what we're working with.
That's right.
Player on my left now has a decision because if he folds, he's essentially surrendering $200. He has a $700 stack, so it's still really difficult to call it off with a bad hand. He ends up making the call with queen 9 offsuit. Credit to him, that's actually a really good call. 60-40 is a great spot to be in. Now the question is, can I actually hold? Great result for us as we escape paying the $200 and we win a sizable pot. After this hand, I now have heaps and we're officially buzzed as people are sending me free drinks. There's a raise in front of me and I re-raised to $105 with ace-10 offsuit in the cutoff. The players behind me fold and the original raiser calls and we go heads up to a flop of king, queen, 3 rainbow. These boards with 2 broadways, especially king highs, are going to be slightly better for me in this 3-bet pot, so I make a continuation bet of $60. He makes the call and we are off to the turn, which is the 5 of clubs. He checks again. This time I'm going to size up and really tell the story that I have a strong hand. I settle on $250. Doesn't waste too long before making the fold, and now we are cruising. Raise it up with everyone's favorite hand, pocket Johnnie's, jack of diamonds, jack of clubs, $30 in early position. Small blind calls and I go heads up to a queen high flop. He checks and I check this one back. We can definitely throw out a continuation bet here, but since our hand specifically is jacks, it doesn't really need that much protection. What I mean by that is any card, a queen or lower, is going to be fine for our hand. The turn comes the 9 of spades. Small blind checks and now it's time to start betting. I size for $30. He makes the call and we are off to the river, which is the 5 of diamonds. He checks again, and this is a great card to bet big on. When the river pairs one of the bottom cards, the absolute value of our opponent's hand doesn't change from turn to river, meaning that if they thought their hand was good on the turn, they might think that their hand is still good on the river since the river isn't a scare card. If I was bluffing in this spot, I'd bet on the large size, so I do the exact same with my value hand. Decide on $175. Small blind ends up making the call. I show. He mucks and more chips come in my direction. Obviously, I didn't cover a ton of hands here. At these meetup games, it's really hard to track as the drinks are flowing like I mentioned before. The conversations are fun and the note taking is at a minimum. But this last hand is a doozy. Early position raises to 30. Cutoff calls, I call from the big blind and the straddle closes the action. 4 ways, flop comes 8-5-3 rainbow. Checks to the original raiser who puts out a continuation bet of $70. Folds to me, and with an open ender here, can definitely go a couple ways here. Definitely not folding, so raising is an option, but I decide on just calling. Maybe not the best decision as now the straddler check raises to $280. Original raiser quickly folds and now it's back on me. I do have a backdoor flush draw here. He has another 550 behind. So I'm not sure I have much fold equity if I jam. Nothing feels great here. I gotta see one more card though, so I make the call. Turn pairs the 3, which is a terrible card for me. I check and thankfully our opponent checks it back, thinking this might actually be a bad card for him, or perhaps he's just trapping and hoping that I do something crazy on the river. The river actually comes the 7 of diamonds, and at this point, we're now on the river with the worst possible hand. There's no 2 cards that we can beat, and there's a sizable pot in the middle. I decide to just move it all in and hope for a fold.
All in? Boom.
I confidently showed the deuce of diamonds. Why? I don't know. I was just having fun, and I thought that maybe it could trick my opponent into thinking I was actually strong. Probably a bad idea, as now I no longer can have a straight when he sees this card. It doesn't matter, as he folds pretty quickly. And he told me later that he had 10-6 of spades, so it really would be tough to find a call here with 10 high. After it was all said and done, I racked up with over a $2,000 profit. The tournaments at Thunder Valley did not go well for me, as I ended up down $8,900, going 0 for 6 on tournament bullets. In fact, I finished the final month of December 2022 going 0 for 15 on tournament bullets, which added up to over a $45,000 downswing just for tournaments in the month of December, which included the massive Win Millions WPT event. If you followed my channel for any length of time, you would know that I'm primarily a cash game player over my 15-year poker career. My little brother, Andrew Marino, also a poker player for about 20 years himself, recently switched to tournaments, and he has been on an absolute tear, at one point cracking the top 10 in GPI worldwide rankings. If you combine his success along with the success of some other friends of mine, along with the fact that cash games are becoming more and more privatized, it's basically been the catalyst to influence me to also primarily switch to tournaments. If you look at my Hendon Mob from 2022, you would see that I cashed for a little over $260,000. This is all public record anyways. I'm just gonna be transparent here on YouTube. So here are the numbers. Total buy-ins for 2022 were just north of $108,000. By far the most I've ever invested in tournaments by a factor of more than 3, which means I made over $150,000 playing poker tournaments this year. It's pretty sweet and definitely happy with that, especially considering I'm not staked and I don't sell any tournament action. As far as expenses goes, two biggest killers of our profits. Number one is taxes and number two are travel expenses. Living in Vegas definitely helps with both of these expenses because while federal taxes are definitely brutal for poker players, there is no state income tax in Nevada. Vegas also has the most robust tournament schedule in America, so you really could get by with very limited travel, almost no travel as a poker tournament grinder living in Las Vegas. Another thing that I wanted to mention, this speaks to the variance. The bulk of my profit came from 2 deep tournament runs. In February over Super Bowl weekend, I won $125,000, taking second place in an MSPT event. Then in November, I made another deep run. We're at the Venetian at the final table of a big event, $2,500 buy-in. All the stars were out, Chance Corneth, Jeremy Osmus, all the beasts. Another beast was also playing in this tournament. My brother, and
JohnnieVibes is the beast.
And he made the final table along with me, a dream come true. We've always talked about this could be a possibility one day, and it's finally happened. I'm so excited. Let's get in there and crush 176,000 up top. Definitely the most fun experience that I've ever had playing poker. Andrew ended up taking 6th place after a brutal bad beat on the river. I lost a flip, ending my run in 3rd place, settling for $84,000. So like I said, those 2 tournament scores right there, that was the bulk of my cashes for the entire year. And it really helped me weather the storm of that $45,000 downswing in December. So that's a wrap on 2022. Definitely feel great about my first year grinding as a tournament pro. What's in store for 2023? Well, I'm gonna continue to upload here on YouTube. The big thing that I'm gonna focus on this year is providing value here on YouTube for your guys' poker game. I'll still be playing regularly on the Hustler Casino live stream. Also wanted to mention with the Hustler live stream cash games, I give away action to people that purchase merch. I do that with a random draw on the morning of the live stream, 100% a free roll. So if you're value hunting, go ahead and click the subscribe button, click the like button, and while you're at it, drop a comment. Let me know what your goals are for 2023. I feel like when we say our goals out loud or we type them in the comments, it'll actually add another layer of accountability for us. In fact, I'll drop a few goals of my own in the comments, and I'll see you in a poker room near you.
Bet it on me, let it rock.
It's my favorite because I designed all these. So.
Did you really?
The single entry, 29. Here's the wheel, 2%. Of my action in today's live stream on WPT up for grabs. Let's get it. See who the winner is. Daniel Guerrero. Daniel Guerrero, you have 2% of my action in this game today.